President Zelensky chose to focus on how Russia is using hunger as a weapon in his address to the Irish Parliament. President Zelensky knew that his message about hunger would resonate in Ireland, which has never recovered the population Ireland lost to famine in the 19th century. Ireland is the only country in the world that had a much larger population in 1840 than it has today. The Irish lost 1 million people to starvation between 1845 and 1851, and Ireland lost another 1 million people at that time through emigration. Most of the Irish-named people you know now in the United States are descended from people who fled the Irish famine. Here's what President Zelensky told the Irish Parliament.
They also have blocked all of our seaports, together with the vessels that had already agricultural cargoes for export. Why are they doing this? Because for them, hunger is also a weapon against us, ordinary people, as an instrument of domination. Ukraine is one of the leading food supplying country in the world. Without our exports, this is not just about the deficit and the threat of hunger for more than dozens of countries, Asia and Africa, but even more, because there will be a shortage of food and the prices will go up. And this is reality for the millions of people who are hungry, and it will be more difficult for them to feed their families, especially in North Africa. Russia is using this hunger weapon.
Joining us now from Lviv, Ukraine, is Thompson Peary with the United Nations World Food Program. Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to focus, I know you're in Ukraine working on the food situation in Ukraine, which is also a crisis there, but I want to focus on what this means to people and countries far from Ukraine. Russia is the biggest fertilizer exporter in the world. Ukraine, a massive wheat exporter. What is this doing to hungry people around the world?
It is catastrophic. This conflict is exerting upward pressure on needs. Even before the onset of the conflict here in Ukraine, approximately 137 million people were in need. And the World Food Program was gearing up to undertake one of its biggest operations yet. And then we now have the conflict. Food prices were already high. They are now skyrocketing. Many people were unable to meet their food needs already. Needs were outstripping available resources, and we have had to cut rations in many contexts. What that means is that those people are no longer able to find food easily, and WFP at the same time is now struggling to feed many people.
What are the countries that are most sharply and painfully affected by this?
Yemen is top of mind. Syria comes to mind. You also have many countries, no fewer than 40 countries, that import directly from this region in Africa. Countries like Somalia, where a raging drought is threatening to decimate people. It has already decimated livestock. I was in northern Kenya just a month ago and seeing people losing livestock and people afraid of what may happen. The situation has worsened now. You also have countries further south that rely on sunflower oil imports from this region that are going to start to feel the pinch. Countries like Mozambique, countries like Madagascar. You also have countries like Lebanon that import half its wheat from this region. You also have Egypt. So the list goes on.
What are the numbers of people who are hungry in these places?
Oh, the numbers are staggering. For example, WFP is feeding 13 million in Yemen. We are feeding 5.5 million people in South Sudan. We are feeding upwards of 10 million people. In fact, 20 million people in Afghanistan need food now. There are 18 million people who are on the brink and need assistance across the West Africa region and the Sahelan countries. The situation is also bad in in East Africa, in the Horn of Africa, where upwards of 13 million people need assistance.